As a mom and grandma and someone who's constantly on the go, I don't have time for uncomfortable shoes. And honestly, I don't believe we should have to choose between looking good and feeling good. That's why I love Born shoes. They've become a staple in my everyday life, whether I'm running errands, traveling, or just out walking with my grandkids. They're lightweight, but so supportive, and the craftsmanship is amazing. The leather is soft, the stitching is solid, and every pair feels like it's made just for me. Right now, I'm wearing the Mira sneaker, perfect for fall, and I don't want to take them off. You've also got to check out styles like the Caddy and Siggy. Born really does make shoes that feel as good as they look. Go to bornshoes.com today for a 15% off discount plus free ground shipping on all full price shoes when you use my promo code Dr. Meg. That's promo code Dr. Meg for 15% off and free shipping. Available exclusively to our listeners for just a limited time. Take comfort in Born shoes. You'll be glad you did.
On today's episode of Parenting Great Kids.
There's something magical about the traditions we carry through the generations, especially at Christmas time. As parents and grandparents, we're the keepers of those traditions. We pass them down, sometimes beautifully wrapped, sometimes a little messy or half-baked, literally in my case. But in that passing down, we give our kids and grandkids something incredibly powerful, a sense of belonging, identity, and the sweet reminder that they're part of a bigger story. For me, those traditions live in the kitchen, at the craft table, and in the gingerbread workshop that comes to life in our dining room every December. It's loud, it's chaotic, and it's one of my favorite parts of the season. That's why I wanted to share a little piece of my life with you on the blog at meekerparenting.com. You'll find some of our family's gingerbread creations, everything from nativity scenes to Noah's Ark and the original handwritten recipe for Welsh tea cakes passed down from my great-grandmother in Wales. It's a sweet tradition I've continued with my own grandkids, and I think you'll love it. Just head to the show notes for the link to the full post. And while you're there, don't miss our special holiday offer, 10% off an annual membership to the Ask Dr. Meg community. Whether for yourself or as a gift, you'll get access to exclusive parenting courses, real-life guidance, and a supportive community, all designed to help you parent with confidence, not confusion. All right, friends, let's slow down, breathe in the season, and remember what Christmas is truly about. Today, we're revisiting a very special episode, Living Emmanuel. Let's dive in.
Welcome to Parenting Great Kids. Here's your host, Dr. Meg Meeker.
Parents, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you feel completely out of control? Maybe you're so worried that you blew it with your kids, or so frightened that something's going on with your kids and you can't change it. Or maybe you're so angry that you don't even want to talk to God about it. Maybe you feel like such a failure. You are a yeller. You don't even like your kids. And all you want to do is run and hide. Well, I've had those feelings, and they're horrible. You feel helpless, and you feel like you're the end of your rope because in a certain situation, you're stuck, and there's nothing you can do. I think that Mary, Jesus' mother, knew exactly what we feel. At the beginning of the Christmas story, it says in Luke, in the 6th month, God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth, a town in Galilee, to a virgin pledged to be married to a man named Joseph, a descendant of David. The virgin's name was Mary. The angel went to her and said, "Greetings, you who are highly favored, the Lord is with you." Now that was a pretty upbeat greeting, wasn't it? And then scripture says, Mary was greatly troubled at his word and wondered what the greeting might be. But the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid. Mary, you found favor with God. You'll be with child and give birth to a son, and you're to give him the name Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High." And Mary broke out in song, "My soul glorifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for he has been mindful of the humble state of his servant. Now, you and I can read that song and we can hear that story and we can say, yeah, you can sing that song right now, Mary, because you don't know what's going to happen. Your life is going to turn into tremendous pain. And as a matter of fact, Mary, there will come a point in your life where you feel, just like your son, that God has abandoned you. You're stuck, and there's nothing that you can do. I was in the Dominican Republic a number of years ago with some colleagues, and we went on a medical mission trip. Every day we would get on this rickety old school bus, and we would drive deep into the countryside. We would end up at a building, usually an empty building, and we would go in and we would, quote unquote, set up our facility, which usually meant taking a bench and putting some medications up at one end of the building, and somebody would oversee all the medications and give them to patients as we told them to give to patients. And one after another, a patient would come in, and even though we didn't speak Spanish, I didn't, some of my friends did, we would have an interpreter, and we tried to figure out what was going on with the people and hope beyond hope that we had a medicine to fix their problems. Very quickly, we realized we didn't have all that we needed to fix their problems, and this was a very uncomfortable feeling. One day, at the end of a long day, we got back on the bus, and I sat down with a colleague, and I looked at him, and I noticed that he wasn't talking, and his eyes were welling up with tears. And I said, "Are you okay?" And he shook his head, and he said, "No, I'm not." And I said, "Well, what's wrong?" Kind of a dumb question, really, when you're in the middle of nowhere and you feel like you can't do anything for people. But that's what you say when a friend next to you is crying. And he said, "You know what? This whole trip is stupid. I don't know why we came here. We're wasting our time. We're wasting their time because we're coming to them, leading them to believe that we have something to give when in truth, there's nothing we can do a lot of the time." He went on to tell me, for instance, today I saw a beautiful woman, probably in her 20s, and she came in complaining of stomach pain. And after I asked her a bunch of questions, and she said, "No, I don't do that. No, I don't have that," I was a little bit puzzled. And I finally came to realize that there were two causes of her stomach pain. And the first was that she had no food to eat. And the second one was that her boyfriend was beating her, often in the stomach, and she had some broken ribs. And I have to tell you that as a man, I looked at this woman and I felt completely helpless. And I felt hopeless. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't give her any food that would last her any significant amount of time. I could give her my sandwich that I was going to have for lunch. And I couldn't even go to her hut and tell her boyfriend to knock it off. There was nothing I could do but hug her and tell her I would pray for her and get back on the bus. And we sat the rest of our trip in silence, and the next morning we got up, we got back on the rickety old school bus, and we went to the next village. I can tell you that oftentimes as a parent, we feel the same way. We look at our kids who are maybe acting up or mouthing off or being a bully at school, or maybe we can't get them to study. Maybe they're having anger outbursts that we just can't get under control. Or maybe it's something even really simple, like we can't get our kids to go to sleep at night, or we can't get them to study during high school, or we can't get them to even talk to us decently. It doesn't really matter the level of the lack of control that we feel. The disturbing thing is that we feel stuck, just like my friend did. We feel as human beings, as parents, as doctors, as workers, at many times there's nothing that we can do. Maybe you have a child who's living with chronic illness, or maybe an illness that's life-threatening. Maybe you have a child who has autism that's quite severe, and they're erupting periodically in these anger outbursts that terrify you. When you experience that sense that your back is against the wall and your heart is broken because you feel there's nothing you can do for your child, or because you failed your child terribly, you need Christmas. You need Emmanuel. You need to know what Mary learned, that God is with us. Jesus' mother, Mary, knew exactly how you feel in those moments. She lived a life of fear and confusion and ultimately agony. And she was young. She probably got pregnant when she was 14 or 15. She was not a mature person as she began to go through that. And yet, in her confusion and ultimate agony, this woman was able to say thank you to God and sing a song. Was she a masochist? No, she wasn't. She was a mom. And when I read stories of this, I say, God, you picked the right woman. It sure is a good thing that you didn't pick me to be Jesus's mother, because I would have never done it. I would have said, sorry, you got the wrong person. Pick another. But how did Mary get through? She suffered the deepest pain a parent can experience. She saw horrific men torture and kill her son, who was a young adult. And this was the man whom she had raised and loved her entire life. And to make things tougher for Mary, her son was perfect. He was a better person than she was. He was kinder, more loving. He was sacrificial. He was more thoughtful. He was more patient than any other human she had met, because he was God. And many people around her son as he was growing up had no clue that he was God, of course. All they saw was this perfect kid. But she knew something deeper. She knew that her perfect child was God, and yet she followed him as he crawled up Calvary, almost passing out with a cross on his back to his death. What in the world was going through her mind? If she could even think at all, because she was probably in shock with sadness and horror. I believe, now I'm no scholar, I'm not a theologian, I'm just a mom and a grandmom and a pediatrician who loves to read the Bible. But I wonder somehow that God allowed Mary to survive because she not only lived Emmanuel, she knew God intimately. She knew that he was beside her, in front of her, behind her, and in her, that she felt she absorbed God, if you will. She lived the experience of God with her much more intimately than you and I do today. She lived Christmas every day. And when she knew God that intimately, her fear dissipated. She endured riding on a donkey when she was 9 months pregnant. Can you imagine? I don't even know if she'd ever gotten on the back of any animal. 9 months pregnant, 14 years old, in the nighttime, and it's freezing. Going with her baby and her husband to a far off place, running with her baby so that they won't be killed, only to be rejected by some stuffy old person at an inn who said, sorry, we don't have room for you. Go down the street and find a barn. And she did. She endured incredible shame being pregnant as a virgin. a pediatrician, I've helped many kids and their families who are struggling with anxiety, depression, grief, all the hard things. And I've seen how difficult it can be to actually get help. Maybe you've tried finding a therapist, but ran into long wait lists or high prices or providers who don't take your insurance. That's where Rula comes in. Rula is a healthcare company that connects you with a licensed in network therapist quickly and affordably. Most people pay just $15 per session, and depending on your plan, it could even be zero. You start by answering a few simple questions, and Rula matches you with therapists who meet your needs. You could be meeting with someone as soon as tomorrow. Thousands have already turned to Rula for support. And if therapy has ever felt out of reach, I want you to know there is a better way. Go to rula.com/Dr. Meg. That's RULA.com/Dr. Meg to get started today. And when they ask how you heard about them, tell them Parenting Great Kids sent you. You deserve care from someone who cares. One of the things I've learned over the years, whether in parenting, work, or life, is that comfort matters. And that doesn't just mean peace of mind. It means your shoes, too. Born Shoes has completely changed how I think about footwear. From the moment I tried them on, I could feel the difference. These shoes are made with top quality leather, flexible soles, and just the right support. And they're beautiful. Born adds these subtle, artistic touches that really set them apart. I've been wearing the Caraway boot lately. Stylish, supportive, and perfect for Michigan fall weather. Born shoes are great for everyday wear, travel, and anything in between. Go to bornshoes.com today for a 15% discount plus free ground shipping on all full-price shoes when you use my promo code Dr. Meg. That's promo code Dr. Meg for 15% off and free shipping, available exclusively to our listeners for just a limited time. Take comfort in Born Shoes, crafted for how you really live. But after God helped her through those tough times, where did her life end up? After Calvary, where did she end up? We know the end of the story. She ended up in a place ultimately with no fear and no pain, with her beloved son restored. Could it be, as she faced Jesus on the cross in horror, that she saw past the cross? Could it be that she saw something past the cross that no one else saw? Could she have seen that Jesus's death wasn't the end of the story? I don't know. But could it be that in a moment where she felt complete hopelessness? Now imagine her hopelessness and her feeling out of control. She's looking at her son that she knows is God, who is King, who is Emmanuel, dying. Do you think that she could have felt in her spirit that this was a joke? That God, who had told her all along that this child was him and now he's dying, that she had lived a lie? Even if she didn't feel it in that moment, do you think she felt it the next day when he was dead and he hadn't risen from the dead? She didn't know he was going to rise from the dead in 3 days. Maybe she did, but I don't think she did. But could it have been that God let her know that something good was going to come? The end of the story, when she felt so helpless and so out of control, hadn't been written yet. Could that be one of the messages that God wants you and me to have as parents when we feel hopeless and out of control? Most of us, God willing, will never experience the pain that Mary felt. But we're going to find ourselves in situations as parents where we failed, where we feel God has failed us. And we wonder, why did he give us this child? Why did he give us this problems? Why did he choose us to be this kid's parent when we don't know what we're doing? Did he make a mistake? Did he get it all wrong? Why did he give us a child in a marriage that we loved that ended? Why did he allow us to marry somebody who is going to take off on us? We don't know, but we need to know at Christmas time that our story with our child is not fully written, that after the pain and the hopelessness and the feeling of being out of control is done, that there's something magnificent around the corner. I recently talked with a beautiful young girl, and we recorded as a podcast. Her name is Emma Benoit. You need to pay attention on my website for when that podcast is going to air. It is phenomenal. Emma is a now young adult who at 16 years of age was a very successful kid. From the outside, she looked like the perfect child. I mean, she was on the cheerleading team and she had no major trauma in her life and she got along well with her parents. But something was wrong in life and she's not exactly sure what it was, but she was beginning to experience depression. And she didn't want to tell anybody because she was not used to talking about her feelings. And one day she was home alone and she was feeling very despondent. And although at 16, at that moment, she didn't want to die, she wanted to escape how she felt. And I believe this is how a lot of teenagers who are depressed feel. They don't necessarily want to die. They just want to leave the place of pain. And in that moment when she was feeling that she needed to get out of her situation, she shot herself in the chest. And as she recounted that story to me, I sobbed because I, as a mother, though I've never been in her parent's situation, I could see my own child lying on my living room floor, bleeding, and identifying in a tiny part how her mother must have felt when she walked through the door and found her beautiful daughter bleeding in her own house. The horror that that mother must have endured. And as Emma talked, I said to her, well, clearly you didn't die. And I want to know what saved you? What happened? I mean, clearly doctors were able to help you, although she is paralyzed to this day because of her wound, because the bullet hit a part of her spinal cord that was going to paralyze her for life. What was it in that moment that saved you? And without skipping a beat, Emma said, God. That day, God saved me. Emmanuel was with me. Was Emmanuel with her mother when she walked in to find her daughter on the floor? Yes. Did her mother feel Emmanuel? Probably not. She was probably in shock and angry and screaming and out of her mind with pain, probably very much like Mary felt. And in that moment, she needed to know somewhere in her consciousness, somewhere in her soul, that Emma's story wasn't fully written. I don't know if she knew that at the moment, but she knows that now because something magnificent happened after Emma shot herself. She was saved, and God picked her up and healed her, even though she's still in a wheelchair. healed her to the point where her life was restored. And even today, as she talked to me in that wheelchair, she could honestly say that God was with her and she feels God's presence and He has been good to her. I don't know what you're facing today, friends. And I don't know that you have experienced what Emma's parents did, or hopefully not what Mary experienced. I don't know. But that doesn't really matter, does it? Because pain is pain is pain. And feeling hopeless is feeling hopeless. And feeling stuck is feeling stuck. But you need to know one thing this Christmas, if you feel that way. If you're a dad who for the first time is not going to be with his kids at Christmas, maybe you're newly divorced and you're still going through the agony of a divorce and your kids won't be with you. Maybe you've lost a child this year, or maybe you are just in a horrible place with one of your kids, or maybe you just feel like you've completely messed up. It doesn't matter. You still need Christmas. You need Emmanuel because your story isn't written. Around the corner, God has something magnificent for you. And I don't know what that is. And you probably won't know what that is today or tomorrow either. But here's one thing you can know for sure. You can know, just like Emma's mother and Mary knew, God is with you. It's a very simple idea. It's an incredible mystery that neither you nor I will ever understand. And it's easy for me to say that, but it's hard to live out. Why? Because Emmanuel will not push himself on you. Emmanuel will always be in front, beside, behind, and in you if you want. If you want. And that's the kicker there, my friends. That's the kicker. In your feeling of hopelessness or feeling out of control or scared for your kids or scared of what's around the corner in your life, in those feelings, can you find it in your heart to just open it a little bit and say, okay, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to insist, God, that if I open my heart to you, that you will be there. And I want to come to a place, God, where just like Mary, I want to absorb everything that you are. And if you can do that, you will enter a mystery that you've never understood. A mystery I don't understand, that Mary didn't understand, but that we know brings you to a place at the end of your story, which is magnificent. Merry Christmas, my friends. Parents, are you worried about your kids? Maybe they won't sleep. They're having issues at school. They have ADHD, anxiety, depression. Maybe they just won't potty train. Stop seeking answers that won't work. There's so much bad advice out there. Please come ask me your questions. When you join the Parenting Great Kids community, I answer reader questions all the time. I want to help you no matter what you're facing. When you join the PGK community, you ask me questions. You get a new course on an important topic. I post videos and have a live Q&A each month where you can join me and ask your questions and get answers. Plus, you'll be part of a fabulous parenting community, which we all need so badly right now. Go to meekerparenting.com and check it out.